On behalf of the entire ranks and file of Bharatiya Janata Party, Nagaland State, I request our Honorable Cabinet Minister, PHET and Cooperation, Sri Jacob Jimomiji, to inaugurate the photo exhibition to mark the 50th year of dark chapters of the emergency. Sir, please. Today, not only in Nagaland, but all over India, we are marking this particular day. In the state of Nagaland, on behalf of the state, we are conducting this very important event here in the Dimapur district office. Not only here in the state, this is for the entire state, but in all other 14 organization district today, all 14 organization district, there is an ongoing program of this particular event. Not only this, but the Bharatiya Janata Party Yuva State Yuva Morcha is also conducting a mock parliament in the Chumukutima district under Mount Mary College. Dear friends, our esteemed speaker will highlight all the important why this has happened, what is the implications, what was the hardship that was faced on ground. They will dwell in all the detail. But today, the importance of this day is the Constitution 50 years back has been assaulted and murdered. So this is a very important event, and to witness this event, I once again welcome all of you who have come here.
Today marks the 50th year of emergency declared by the then Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi. We remember today the horrific times the citizens of this great nation had to go through. Our social life, religious life, economic life, and political life had a negative impact by the declaration and implementation of the emergency declared 50 years back. It still has a scar on the fabric of this nation. We are still recovering from this horrific act imposed on the citizens of this great nation. You all are aware that the mandate declared in 1971, when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, had been challenged by her opposition candidate Mr. Raj Narayan in the Allahabad High Court. Subsequently, during these trying times, the country was going into a very economic downturn, inflation, and many other social negative impacts on the citizens of this nation. There were food crisis, people were struggling with hunger, there were misgovernance, misuse, abuse of authority by the then government, the Congress government, led by the late Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi. Subsequently, in 1974, there were uprisings in the entire nation, especially in Bihar and Gujarat. The mass movement against the governance of Srimati Indira Gandhi in Gujarat, which was led by the students' community, and it had a rippling effect on the entire nation. On 12th June 1975, the court declared and passed an order barring Srimati Indira Gandhi to hold office, the electoral office, for 6 years. For 6 years, this had got immense panic in her leadership and her government, and so in a very swift manner, she had declared emergency on 25th June 1975, fearing to lose the authority, her love for the chair, of losing the power and authority. She declared emergency in the country when it was not required. There was no internal aggression, no external aggression, no situations which were out of control, but just out of the fear to lose her power, to lose the chair, she declared emergency. Subsequently, again, very hurriedly, she had taken a lot of negative decisions which had a huge impact on our press media, on our film fraternities, on our education system. Also, she had controlled and barred the electricity to the press institutions, fearing that there would be a negative impact on her government. Article 352 of the Constitution of India was used and misused to trample democracy. Both Parliament and judiciary were reduced and became powerless. A lot of decisions she had taken unilaterally at her whims and fancies, and the nation suffered to a great extent. Congress leadership under the Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi had kept the nation, the interest of the nation and the Constitution behind. For her, the family was above the Constitution and the nation. That had a huge impact on the socio-economic and political growth of this nation. Fundamental rights were stripped off. The entire nation had to suffer at the hands of her command. One of the greatest blows, again during this emergency where she had declared, was the rise of her family members. who had no constitutional authority but who had a vast authority running the government without a mandate. So even today, the method of the Congress party, the style of functioning might have changed, but the mindset still remains the same. When the Congress were in power under her leadership, there was no freedom of press. They had control over the press even before the Lok Sabha election 2024, if you see. Instructions were given to their spokespersons not to be in debate with certain people whom they thought is detrimental to the party, to their party, the Congress party. A lot of arrests and actions were taken against our pressmen and women, even in the Congress ruled states, if you see now. So they had decided and had a huge impact on the liberty of our press. They had the authority. They chose whom their spokesperson had to be in debate. The authority lied only with one family. If you see today, the most important part of democracy in the state, that is the legislative, the executive and the judiciary. During Congress times, all these important aspects and tools of the government were reduced and were under their control. You see, in the 39th and 42nd Amendment, Srimati Indira Gandhi and her government, in order to rule with impunity, they had kept the position of the Prime Minister and the top government officials beyond judicial scrutiny. This is how the Congress party under the leadership of Srimati Indira Gandhi had ruled the country. India suffered and is still recovering from those dark ages of emergency. It was the government of one family. If you see the practices today in the Congress party, the style and functions have changed. The method have changed. But the mindset still remains the same. All the Indie alliances and Congress party meetings are held in the Congress president's residences. The methods have changed, but the mindset still remains the same. The authority of the parliament and the judiciary had become powerless, even in the cases of promotion in the judiciary, which is a very important part of democracy. The promotions, being the senior-most judge in the case of Justice H.R. Khanna, was denied elevation to the post of Chief Justice of India during Srimati Indira Gandhi's time, merely because he had given ruling against the government. You're all aware that judiciary has to be independent. There's a separation of executive and the judiciary. Judiciary has to be fair and just. That's how sovereign nation has to function. So those were the cases in case of judiciary. Judicial judges who held high offices were not given promotion and were transferred out if they did not work in tandem with the government's interests. So that was the fate of the government and the country during the misrule of the Congress government led by Srimati Indira Gandhi. Furthermore, you will be amazed the 38th Amendment of the Constitution. Indira Gandhi's government placed the proclamation of emergency beyond judicial review, thereby laying a direct path to authoritarianism through arbitrary constitutional changes. These were the amendments which were taken unilaterally. It has to pass through the parliament for ratification. But matters of such important issues were not brought to the parliament for discussions. If you see in today's Congress leadership, Rahul Gandhi, who today pretends to fight for social justice and the rights of the poor people, conveniently forgets that it was during his grandmother's time, Srimati Indira Gandhi, who ordered firing of the poor people in that infamous Delhi's Turkman Gate during the emergency. People who were pleading for mercy to save their lives and homes. So this was the Congress way of fulfilling its famous slogan, which you all are aware, Garibi Hatao slogan. During the Congress government, the government even dissolved the Press Council of India during the time when Srimati Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, to silence the criticisms of his government's actions and censorship attacks on the media. Ironically, the same Congress that once muzzled the press now openly protects those spreading fake news on digital platforms while filing cases to suppress the voices of the ideological opponents. Congress ensured that any official or judge who refused to follow their dictates was either removed or transferred. A pattern of institutional misuse that defines even their legacies today. Even in the Congress rule states, if you see, the most important aspect and the negative impact which had in the country was during Srimati Indira Gandhi's time, when she broke the tradition of collective responsibility of the cabinet. She had taken all decisions unilaterally, and cabinet ministers were they acted only as a rubber stamp. Under Congress rule, we all are aware that democracy deteriorated to such an extent that even those imprisoned were not allowed to attend the last funeral rites of the family members. Among them was the current Defense Minister, Shri Rajnath Singh Ji. He himself revealed that he was not allowed to go and was not granted permission to attend his mother's funeral when they were arrested by the order of Srimati Indira Gandhi's government. Under the MISA Act, more than 1 lakh citizens of this nation were put behind bars without trial, and that included opposition leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan, late Shri Vajpayee ji, L.K. Advani ji, and Shri Rajnath Singh ji. So those were the times where the country suffered. The very constitutional that Baba Saheb Ambedkar created to empower the people was used by Congress as a weapon to snatch away those rights. During the 21 months of emergency, Congress crushed every critic, every dissenting voice, and every opposing idea by branding them as anti-national. At that time, during emergency period, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji was an ordinary party worker, and like him, lakhs of dedicated workers, volunteers distributed pamphlets overnight, spreading the message and exposed the truth of the Congress party in every village of the country. The resistance to Congress dictatorship was not merely political, it was a mass movement undertaken by the citizens of this nation to protect the souls of India, for which nationalists have risked their lives in the past. One of the most terrifying phase of Indira Gandhi's dictatorship was her complete capture of the power through dynastic control by involving her own family member, that is her son. And in his greed for power, Congress even extended the Lok Sabha's term from 5 to 6 years to deny people the chance to vote. The emergency reflected the Gandhi family's mindset, clearly showing that for them the party and power existed only for the family, not for the nation or the constitution. For the first time after independence, the government treated not an enemy nation but its own people as captives. The very institutions that the Congress calls the guardians of democracy are turned into rubber stamps during its rule. This duplicity is still visible in politics today. In conclusion, the mindset of the Congress party and the Gandhi family still revolves around the belief of we alone are the nation, which is why even a clear public mandate appears to be to them as a crisis of democracy. Whenever the Gandhi family is investigated in corruption cases, which you all are aware, Congress raises the cry of the slogan, democracy in danger. This was the language used by Indira Gandhi after being disqualified by the court. So you see, whenever Congress has been removed from power, it has neither respected the dignity or kept the dignity of the opposition. Even today, it considers democracy valid only when it holds power. This is evident in the style and functioning of the Congress party. Even today, democracy were reduced and arrested and converted into autocracy by the then Prime Minister Sri Indira Gandhi ji to retain her chair, a love for power, a lust for power, and in the end, the people of the citizens of this nation had to pay a great price. The Constitution of India was used, misused, and abused during the Congress regime. We had lost good years of liberty, and we are still paying the price of the horrific and terrific acts committed on its citizens who had voted and given mandate but had misruled this nation for the benefit of a single family run party government. So today we remember our great leaders who had suffered 50 years ago trying to bring justice, peace, brotherhood and development to our nation. So thank you all for your patient hearing.
Today, 5th June 2025, the BJP Nagaland is observing a Black Day marking the anniversary of declaration of the emergency in India, which is a darkest chapter in the history of Indian post-independence. On this day, in 1975, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi invoked Article 352 of the Indian Constitution, proclaiming a state of emergency that would last for 21 months until its revocation on March 21, 1977. This period is often remembered as a time of authoritarian rule, human rights violation, stifling democratic process in India. Friends, as today we are commemorating this Black Day, it is very crucial for all of us to reflect on the implication of the emergency, and also to have a serious thought on the impact of this emergency on Indians' democratic fabrics, and also to analyze and evaluate this implementation and subsequently its consequences under this drastic measure. Now, let us go back to the record or to the fact of the history. How and why this emergency was imposed in the country, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. In 1971, in the country, there was a general election for the House of the People, that is Lok Sabha. And the legitimacy of Indira Gandhi election was challenged, as the former speaker had said, was challenged by her election opponent in the court of Allahabad High Court on the ground of corrupt practices, misuse of government machineries. And at the time, the country, which was ruled by the Congress party under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, the country was already running down its economic, and there was so many social unrest in the country. and also food crisis and inflation problem was there, which led serious discontentment of the public in the country. In Bihar and in Gujarat, yes, the NAF movement was emerged effectively under the leadership of the students. And on that 8th June of 1974, there was a historic railway strike carried out, led by George Fernandez, which brought the entire nation to a standstill. In 1974, in Gujarat, in order to suppress all this movement against her, Indira Gandhi imposed president rule in Gujarat in 1974. This president rule marked the beginning of the emergency that would be declared in 1975. On 12th June 1975, yes, the High Court of Allahabad found Indira Gandhi guilty in election case, for which she was disqualified from holding public office for 6 years. Following all this serious political instability, on June 25, 1975, at the time, President Faruddin Ali Ahmed, on the advice of the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, declared a state of emergency in India under Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. With this declaration of the emergency in the country, this was allowed the central government to assume sweeping power, suspending civil liberties, curtailing the fundamental right guaranteed under the Constitution, like freedom to speech, freedom to assemble, and also imposing press censorship. This period is often remembered as an authoritarian rule and human rights violation and stifling the Constitution of India. Under this draconian law, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi imprisoned over lakhs of citizens without any trial. Some of them were including, like as our speaker has said, senior most opposition leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, L.K. Advani, Manohar Joshi, and Rajnath Singh, as well as number of Indian journalists in the country. Now, I want to take you to the Indian Constitution. In the provision of the Indian Constitution, on what ground and under what constitution the authority is allowed to impose president rule. It is given in Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. If the President is satisfied that a grave emergency exists, whereby the security of India or any part of the territory thereof is threatened, whether by war or by external aggression or armed rebellions. 10. The President may make a declaration to that effect in respect of the whole of India, all of such part of the territory of India, as may be specified in the proclamation. That is the provision for imposing emergency. Again, in clause 3, the President shall not issue a proclamation under clause 1 unless the decision of the Union Cabinet headed by the Prime Minister appointed under Article 75 that such a proclamation may be issued has been made communicating to the President in written. Therefore, when we look to the case and when we look in the record or fact of the history of the case, there was no such kind of threat to the security of India or any part of the territory of India thereof, whether by war or by aggression or external aggression or armed rebellions. This declaration emergency of 1975 was not the result of national crisis, but only by a frightened Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, to save her power and also to nullify an attempt and also to nullify the Allahabad High Court verdict cancelling her election and to protect her chair at any cost. In this regard, in 1978, Shah Commission was also appointed to investigate the abuse of power during emergency. And it is clearly stated in its final report that there was no constitutional justification for imposing emergency in the country. It was merely a personal political conspiracy by Indira Gandhi. Therefore, today, we observe this day as a Black Day. Thank you.
तब शुभ नामे जागे, तब शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे